Have you heard about the congressional investigations into heavy metals in baby foods? Hey, I'm Dr. Anna Maria Temple. I am your holistic pediatrician on call. And today we are talking about the fact that there's heavy metal levels in our baby foods, and I'm going to teach you 5 ways to decrease your baby's exposure to these heavy metals. Number one's probably going to surprise you, so you want to stick around and listen all the way to the end. But before we get to there, let's talk a little bit of background. Should we even be worried? Should we even be concerned? Well, in 2018, Consumer Reports conducted an investigation and showed very high levels in over 60% of the baby products that they investigated. And then in 2019, the Healthy Babies Bright Futures investigated the same thing and found that over 95% of the baby food products, including juice, formula, pouches, jars, contained at least one heavy metal. And 25% of the baby foods that they tested contained all 4 heavy metals: arsenic, lead, cadmium, and mercury. And this is not okay. Saying that these are just chemicals and that we can never get rid of all these, that they're going to be in our environment and that parents shouldn't panic. Agreed. Parents, we should not panic. Please don't panic. But we need to call to action the fact that the FDA does not have any regulations in how much heavy metals are allowed in baby foods. But there have regulations on how much is allowed in adult foods. But babies are not big adults. Babies are tiny humans whose brain development is at a critical stage between birth and 3 years old. So we must protect them the best that we can. So I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing some regulations on how baby food companies are allowed to sell to the public. In the meantime, let's talk about what are the things of concern with these heavy metals. We're arsenic. We've shown that in kids exposed to arsenic with higher doses and longer exposures, it decreased their IQ, memory, and language development, and even cancer. What about mercury? The more mercury exposure the child has, it increases their risk of autism and memory and behavioral problems. Lead. In Flint, Michigan, in 2014, lead was in the water, and now we've seen studies from those children exposed to that water, and we've seen decrease in their IQ and increase in behavioral problems. As for cadmium, that is the more cadmium in the diet, the lower the IQ and the higher the risk for ADHD. None of this is okay. So what can you do? Number 5 thing to do to decrease your child's exposure to heavy metals is cigarettes and vapes contain very high levels of these 4 heavy metals we're talking about, and exposure of the children to these heavy metals will have a tremendous impact on their brain. Number 4 way to decrease your child's exposure to heavy metals is don't buy juice. Arsenic. The American Academy of Pediatrics in fact says that there should be 0 amount of juice given to children less than 2 years old. What can they drink? Oh, well, they can drink water and breast milk and formula. But wait, you told us that formula can contain some heavy metals. And in fact, soy formulas actually contain a lot of cadmium. If you sign up for my newsletter, which is in the comments below, next week, you're going to get a list of baby foods, formulas, and drinks that are allowed and safe for baby consumption. Number 3 tip to reduce your children's exposure to heavy metals is lay off the rice products. We have teethers, nobody needs those, rice cereal, complete garbage, and puffs. Nobody needs that too. All those products contain rice as one of their first ingredients, which is very high in arsenic. But what about if it's organic? Well, what the investigations have found that organic products have 2 times more arsenic in them than non-organic products. Great, my parents are like this. We spend so much money trying to buy organic products, and now they have arsenic. Fun fact, the term organic and label organic does not account for the heavy metals in the soil or the arsenic quantities. What can you do? Well, don't worry about the lip puffs. If you need finger foods, you can take a French baguette, get the middle part of the bread, leave it on the tray, and the babies are going to grasp it. You can take pasta that is well cooked, and you chop that up in small pieces and have them pick at it as well. If you really need a packaged product, stay tuned for my newsletter next week. but look for ingredients or look for packages that have quinoa instead of rice as their main ingredient. Number 2 way to reduce your child's exposure to heavy metals is cook a variety of fruits and vegetables, and you don't have to stress yourself and stay up until the wee hours of the morning cooking their food. You can just take a banana and put it in a garlic press, or an avocado and smush it in a garlic press. I love this because the smushing makes it nice and smooth, and the amount that you put in a garlic press is the perfect serving size for a beginner eater. And after a month or so of trying different fruits and vegetables, because nobody needs rice cereal, there is just no reason that is a first food introduction. Fruits and vegetables, kids, that's all that we need. And after the first month, then you move to table foods. You can take your chicken and broccoli and rice, put a little breast milk or a little water, put in a blender, now you have baby food. And the quicker that the babies are introduced to table foods, the quicker they will eat with a family meal, and the less buffet service you're going to have to make. The other thing is we want to focus on variety. We know that babies love sweet potatoes and carrots, which are vegetables that are known to be high in heavy metals because they're root vegetables. All that means is, well, we're just going to vary the diet. Don't forget about corn and peas and green beans and mangoes and raspberries and strawberries. So we want to do the full rainbow so we can get tons of nutrition and less heavy metals. And the first tip to reduce your baby's heavy metal exposure is how you cook your rice. So if you decide that you want to give your child some rice, it's no big deal, but let's talk about how you can decrease your child's, your family's exposure to arsenic. The traditional way of cooking rice is you're going to soak the rice and then you're going to strain it. That actually strains the arsenic and a lot of the B vitamins and other nutrients from the rice. What you want to do instead is actually put the rice in the pot, put water, more water than it needs, just like you're cooking pasta. Then when the rice is done cooking, strain it. All that water will draw out the arsenic while keeping all the nutrients in. And now the whole family can benefit from a little less arsenic. Now, if you have other questions, don't forget that all this information is already in this amazing handy dandy book, and you can get a link to it in my comments below, the rule of 5. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, comment below, I welcome your comments. So next week, for all you guys that have fed your babies these products like I fed all my kids, the same thing, we're going to talk about how to detox their bodies so we can raise healthy children in this unhealthy world.